That's chapter 2, which is 2.5. Translating from English to algebra. So this is the main technique, or it's pretty much the main topic about any algebra class, intermediate algebra or advanced algebra. So a lot of times we use the main difference between arithmetic and algebra is in arithmetic, what you learn in elementary school, you don't see any variables in there. You don't see X, Y, Z, and you only have always are given numbers. But algebra, we mix numbers and variables, and we can use algebra. Algebra is like a tool, a skill, mathematical skill, like a tool that can help us solve complicated math problems. Okay, so we will see how we do that next week. So now we're just going to try to learn how to convert English sentences or words, phrases to mathematical symbols. So that's the topic of algebra. And I don't know if you have heard of this. I may have mentioned this in class. A lot of times we think of mathematics like a foreign language, like a language, just like any language. So it has its own symbols, and just like alphabetical letters. And so a lot of English words we use, for example, add or plus. There are many other words. So I put an add there. We use a plus sign, so we see that. And subtract, like a minus sign, and multiply. Multiply, I also talked about multiply at the beginning of the first class. And besides the cross sign, we often use a dot, okay, because this cross sign can be mixed with variable x, because now we're using a lot of variables now. And division, also we have these two symbols, like a little horizontal line, like to represent a fraction or division or a slash. Okay, so these are the symbols. We also introduced the exponent, right? So raise the number. But besides these words, add, when you say add, okay, we use plus sign, but we could also have, let's say, plus, that also means the symbol, and also the word sum. So the total, sometimes we say find the total of something and something. So that also means addition. Okay, so besides these addition or plus sign, and we also have some other words. When you see them, we need to realize we also need to do addition. And there's some more. For example, we'll talk about another one, which is like more than. I'll give you a simple example. Let's say you have, say I have $5. You have $2 more than what I have. So in order to find out how much you have, now you're going to do addition, right? So that's also another example that you do addition. Also, like the words like increase. Say last month our profit the profit of a company, of a store, is maybe $10,000, and then this month we had a increase, the profit increased, let's say $2,000. So what is the profit for this month? So in that case, we also use addition. Okay, so these are some other words commonly used for addition. When you see them, we realize we do addition. Okay, so similarly for subtract, we also have a minus. We call it minus, or we say difference. So when you try to find the difference of two numbers, and we also do subtraction. And I guess the corresponding to more than, we also have something like less than. So if I have $5, but you have $2 less than what I have, instead of adding $2 to 5, you're going to subtract $2 from 5. So that's another case. And similarly, for increase, what if you may have decrease? Okay, so if the profit decreased, like $2,000, you're gonna have to subtract. Okay, so that's some commonly words. For multiply, multiplication, of course, and times, and we also have a word called product. So mathematics, product, it doesn't mean some goods, actually means times. Okay, so if you say find the product of these two numbers, 3 and 5, so we mean you multiply. So I realized in the past, some students were not very familiar with this word, product. Product. Okay. Next is division. So we also have something similar. It's called oops, actually. We call it quotient. So if we say find the quotient of two numbers, we also do division. Okay, so I think these are the ones the common words we use. So now let's look at some particular examples here. So all you see here, these are English sentences. Now we want you to get rid of the English words, English phrases, not sentences, words. And then we want you to use mathematical symbols to describe it. Okay, so for example, the first one, 4 more than X. So the example that I gave you before was, let's start with that example. Right. If you remember the example I gave you, say I have $5 and you have $2 more than what I have. And then to do that, we know we need to do addition. So we add 2 because $2 more than what I have. And in order to find how much money you have, so you can also do word to word, word to symbol translation. So this is what I do. We have to do this a lot when, well, not a lot for the next week's class. So we are going to take $2 and write it down. So that's 2. Well, let me move it a little closer. Okay, so let me see if I can do this. I have $5 and you have $2 more than what I have. All right, in this case, I will write down a number 2 for that $2. More than means plus. What I have is $5. I just put $5 in there. So this will give us what we have. So the way we just did this process, translating every English phrase or word into a mathematical symbol, and this is called, this is the topic for this section. Okay, I actually do see this like even in the 2nd grade, because my daughter is in the 3rd grade. In her 2nd grade, when she learned addition, subtraction, this is what they were asked to do. So they're supposed to write down a mathematical like sentence. Okay, so this you can consider this as a mathematical sentence, but it's using symbols, mathematical language, right? So mathematical words, we call them symbols. Okay, so this is what we need to do. Now, the first example is very similar to what I have here. So 4, we have a symbol for 4. More than means plus, and X is X. Just copy it, because in my example, what I have, we do know how much I told you at the beginning how much I have. I have $5. So you could plug in there, but in this case, we don't know 4 more than X. What is X? We don't know what X is. So you could just leave X there. So I could do the same thing with my example. Suppose I don't tell you how much money I have. So if I, because I know how much you have, So I'll just, instead of telling you how much money I have, I may say, okay, I know you have $2 more than what I have. Okay, so because you don't know how much I have, so when you do the question, you wouldn't be able to plug 5 in here. So what I have, it's something unknown. We instead of leaving what I have, the sentence in here, we could use this variable, you know, like X to represent. Say, okay, I don't know how, you may answer the question like this to find, okay, so I don't know how much money you have, so I just call it an X, okay? Again, it's very easy just to use one symbol. Much easier than using 3 words, what I have, right? So you can just use the symbol X to represent what I have, and then say, okay, whatever you have, I call it X, and I add 2 to it, so I get 2 plus X. In fact, the X plus 2 will also work because we learned in section 1.5, is that 1.5? Yeah. So we know addition has commutative property, so 2 plus X and X plus 2 would be the same. Technically, when we do the question, we say, I'm going to add $2 to what you have, right? So add that extra $2 to what I have, what you have, depending on who is talking. So you will take what I have, so because we don't know, we call it X, and add a 2 to it, add a 2 to it. So technically we should do X plus 2, but since addition has commutative property, 2 plus X will also work. So the reason I want to emphasize here, because is for second question, when we have less than, it's going to be different because we know subtraction is not a commutative. You can, if you have 2 minus 5 and 5 minus 2, they're completely different. Okay. All right. So let's change this question here. Instead of more than $2 more than what I have. So I'm going to go ahead and put it back. I have tell you using specific numbers, and then we're going to change that to a variable. So let's say I have $5 and you have $2 less than what I have. Okay. So now when you look at the question, we will not be able to follow the order like we had. Say, okay, 2 means 2, less than is minus, what I have is 5. So you're going to be doing 2 minus 5, which is -3. That doesn't make sense, right? So because if I have $5, you have $2 less, you should have $3 instead of negative $3. It doesn't make sense, right? What's the problem? The problem is we should do 5 minus 2, not 2 minus 5. So here is the problem here. So I'm going to put a cross there. So the for addition, really doesn't matter, like I said, but for subtraction, it does matter. So when we do this question, we're supposed to subtract because you have $2 less than what I have. So when you do that, you need to subtract $2 from what I have. Subtract $2 from what I have. So when you take away from something, you're going to start with that from part. So how much do I have? It's $5. Maybe just put $5. And then you take away $2 from 5, right? So if you take something away from something, and you have to start with that 5, what I have there, and subtract 5 to subtract the 2 to get $3. Okay, so in this case, the order does matter. We have to be very careful. So for the second question, 5 less than y, which means you are going to subtract 5 from y. So you're gonna start with y and subtract 5 from y. Okay, so we cannot do 5 minus y. 5 minus y would be different. So I'm using this particular example with specific numbers to hopefully help you understand to see there is a difference. Okay, you cannot just randomly put the order. Okay, so for subtraction, you need to know which one minus which one. For addition, it doesn't matter because it's commutative. 4 plus x, x plus 4, either way. But subtraction, it's not a commutative. Be careful to figure out which one minus which. Okay, any questions? So in the bonus that you will have one of these questions to do. So when you translate words to symbols, I mean, you don't need to give me this. I just wrote this down here to help you why the answer should be y minus phi, not phi minus y. Okay. So you might feel because, well, actually, we did have some problems that in the homework, the answer has x and y in there. In real life, usually you will not. In real life, we always look for a specific answer and for a particular problem. So this, what we're doing right now is just laying the foundation for solving problems later next week. Okay, so because in order to use algebra to solve complicated word problems, real life problems, we need to learn how to convert English, the language or English, the words to mathematical equations or mathematical symbols. Okay, so again, you may feel a little strange. Why do we have a y or x in the answer, right? This is just temporary. Okay, so later here we're just doing some training. Okay, so now let's look at number 3. This is a little tricky. So when we say 5 less than y, you have to switch the order, y minus 5. But when you say 5 less y, this word less here, less just means minus, the same as minus. So if you say 5 minus y, you do follow the order 5 minus y. Okay, so the one that you have to be careful is the less than. This is the one. Okay, so we have a lot of these kind of problems that many of them you can come up with lots of them to translate. I think what you need to remember is like number 2. Got to pay attention to that because that's a little tricky. So you may make mistakes. And most of the others, you just follow the order. Okay, so like that, we can follow the order. And if you learn Spanish, you probably know that Spanish language is also sometimes when you translate from English to Spanish, Spanish to English, you have to change the order of the some of the phrases. It's kind of similar because not every language follows exactly the same order of saying things. Okay, all right. So let's look at number 4, quotient. So like I said, the ones that follows the order, just don't bother to memorize. Just pay attention to the ones that doesn't follow the order. So this is the one, whenever you see the word less than, okay, remember, okay, I have to be careful which one matters which one. You got to change the order, right? So the next one, number 4, it's following the order. So quotient means what I just gave you. Quotient means division. So be careful with these two. Again, product, if you didn't know this before, product means multiplication times, quotient means division. And we also follow the order. So the quotient of 9 and x, so we know we do division. So first you write down the symbol 9 and divide it by x. And because division, we have 3 symbols, so any of these will work. Whichever will work, whichever one you like. You don't need to give me all 3 of them, just give me one would be fine. Okay, number 5, 2 times the quantity. Comma or without a comma, without a comma would be fine. So x plus y. Now I wanted you to compare number 5, number 6. It's very close, except the only difference is this one has the quantity. Otherwise, if I delete the quantity, you can see if it's exactly the same, 2 times x plus y. But with the word quantity here, it does make a difference. Okay, so the quantity means which quantity means x plus y. So first of all, you can do x plus y here, but when they say the word quantity, it refers to x plus y. Okay, this quantity. So it's like it's together. Whatever operation you do, it's going to be done to both of them, x and plus y. Not only x, but also y. So when we have 2 times, 2 will be 2. The symbol, mathematical symbol for English word 2 is this 2. Times, it's times. I'm going to use a dot because I don't want to confuse it with x. And times the quantity. What is the quantity? It's x plus y. Let me move it a little bit closer. So this quantity is x plus y. Make sure you put parentheses because with parentheses, it means both of them needs to be multiplied by 2. So you actually get 2x plus 2y if you want to simplify it. Okay. but you don't need to do this. You can just leave it as 2 times parentheses x plus y. But when you do number 6, it just says 2 and 2 times x, and then plus, and y and y. So it's just going to be 2x plus y. If I put them closer, it's 2x plus y. That one, I should have put them closer so you can see the difference there. So it's 2 times x plus y. So the difference is between these two answers. The parentheses, one has parentheses, the other does not have parentheses. And that's different. Okay, the one with the parentheses, actually, if you want to simplify it, you will get 2x plus 2y, and compared to the answer of number 6, there's a 2 missing in front of y for number 6, because that 2 doesn't need to be distributed to that y, you know, without parentheses. If you, with the parentheses, you do have to distribute this 2 to that y. Okay, so make sure you also pay attention to the word quantity. Okay, so that's another one, number 5. You may need to pay a little bit of attention there. Okay, any questions? Next one, number 7, product of m and 3. I think that one should be an easy one, right? Can you maybe type the answer in the chatting box for number 7? Okay, m times 3, 3m. Okay. Times 3, very good. Okay, so I see different things. I mean, that's all correct, but yeah, and Bailey, the way you wrote it is correct, but I would try to avoid the cross sign for multiplication. When you type, actually, it does seem kind of clear, but well, but if I just put like this, you know, it's this cross sign here really looks like X, right? So it might cause some kind of confusion. And so it's better to avoid the cross sign for multiplication. So let's try to use a dot. And of course, when you do it on your computer, there's not a dot, right? So you can use that little star there. So that's same, you know, as means dot. And I also saw Natalie, she put 3m. That is also correct. In fact, this is very common we do in math. Usually we like to put the numbers in front of a letter. It just looks, well, it really doesn't matter. So if you want to put an M3, I mean, that's okay, but it's just we like to, it's like a convention, you know, we like to put a 3 in front of, numbers in front of letters. Okay, all right, so there are many different ways to write your answer. All right, now number 8 and number 9 is also kind of tricky. We know, first of all, by looking at the word divided, you know, we know it's division, but the order, so the thing is the order. Which one first goes first? Which one goes second? So maybe I'll ask you just type in the answer for both of them, or use a comma to separate them. So A is divided by B. 9 is A is divided into B. So pay attention to the order. Okay. Okay. So it looks like the majority of students have A over B for the first one. Okay. A over B. And the second one we have B over A. That is actually correct. Okay. So if you had the other way, so maybe I think the best way to help you remember maybe is when you say A is divided into B, into goes in there, right? So it's kind of like saying, let me give you an example. If I say 2 goes in, what goes into 6. So when you say, if I ask you how many times does 2 go into 6, and think about that question, and then you will be doing 6 divided by 2, right? Instead of 2 divided by 6, because you want to see 6 goes in there. So 6 would, 2 goes into 6, so 6 would go first. Okay, so if you hopefully that word can help you using this example. And number 8 divided by something. So actually that's when you follow the order. Okay, so into is a little different. If A, say A is divided by B, that just means A following the order, A first and division and then B. Okay. All right, so if there's a little bit of confusion there, and for number 9, so number 2, number 5, and number 9, these are the 3 ones we got to be careful, and then the others should be okay. All right, questions? So that's actually